If you built your website once and then just never touched it again, I totally get it. But here's the thing, your business, it keeps changing. What you sell, who you serve, what makes you different, all of that shifts. And your website is usually the last thing to catch up. That's why I made something just for you. It's called the AI Website Lab. Every month, I walk you through one thing to fix, hand you the AI prompts to do it fast, and even help you apply it live if you want. And it starts at $47 a month. Check the links in the show notes to learn more. Now, into the episode. Can I ask you something? When was the last time you landed on a website and actually felt something? Like, not just, oh, that looks pretty or that looks nice, but actually felt a connection. Like you already kind of knew this person before you even reached out. That feeling, it doesn't happen by accident. And today I want to tell you exactly what creates it and why so many websites are missing it right now and what you can do about it. Welcome to Website Design Made Simple, the podcast for busy small business owners who want a high-performing website that converts and sells their offers, even while they're sleeping. Because you deserve to have a strategic and beautiful website that truly represents your brand and positions you as the expert that you are. I'm your host, Jenny B, web designer and creative director at Jenny B Designs, where we believe that your website is the one thing that makes you sales and builds your brand at the same time. Ready to say goodbye to a website that you're embarrassed to share? And hello to a money-making, personality-packed powerhouse? Let's head into today's episode. Welcome. It's me, Jenny, and I'm here to talk all about websites and more specifically, the imagery on your websites and the feelings that your website can bring about. We're talking about photos, and I also have a hot take that I think is really timely, especially where we are given everything that's happening with AI and the way some people are building websites right now. By the end of this episode, you will understand why images are one of the most important tools and most powerful tools that you have for building trust with someone who has never met you, and what types of imagery actually move the needle forward. And why I think going into 2027, this is my thought as of today, that having real photos on your website is more of an advantage now than it has ever been before. Let's start with something about me and what I've always believed in since I started designing websites. And it is that your website isn't a collection of pages, it is an experience. And that experience either connects with people or it doesn't. When someone lands on your website, they're not sitting down with a checklist, going through your services one by one and comparing you to your competitors. That's not how we humans work. What they're actually doing is feeling things within seconds. They are forming an impression of you and they are deciding on that gut basic level whether you feel trustworthy and whether you feel like someone that they could work with, whether they trust you, whether something about you resonates. And that impression is shaped by three things. And I always come back to these three things and how they work so beautifully together. The first one is your copy, the words on the website. The way that you tell your story, the way you describe what you do, who you help, why it matters, why someone should care. Your copy is your voice, and your voice is part of your personality. And when your copy sounds like you and not a corporate brochure with tons of corporate jargon, and it doesn't sound like every other service provider in your industry, but it actually sounds like the unique you that you are, people feel that. They feel like they already know you a little bit before they've even spoken to you. And that matters so much because trust starts before that first conversation. And I always share that working with a copywriter can do amazing things for your business. And I think that it is even more important now than it's ever been because we all can generate something with AI, right? There's no shortage of words. But I think that there is a shortage of words that actually speak to the heart of what you are about, your brand essence is about, but also communicates clearly to your ideal audience. And it's the first thing that someone sees on your website. They are seeing these words with the imagery and the design. Okay, so the first thing is the copy. Second thing, I just mentioned it, is the imagery. And this is a huge one. This is what today's episode really is all about. Images of you. And I mean this so literally. Your face. If you are the face behind your brand, your expressions, the way you look when you are doing the work that you love. If you have a physical location like a shop, a studio, a salon, you have a restaurant, a gym, whatever it is, that's another thing that you can show. Show us what it feels like to walk in. Let us see the space before we ever set foot in it. I worked with a yoga studio, and that is exactly what they wanted to do and what they accomplished on their website. They have beautiful pictures of their space so that someone coming to their studio, before they even get there, they get a sense of what this studio is all about. Pictures speak 1,000 words. And if you're a service-based, or like myself, you work from home or work from a co-working space, I still want to see you at your desk, on a call, working on your laptop in your favorite spot or your coffee shop, in action, whatever it is, because your clients are going to work with you, not, a logo. They want to see the person they are about to trust with something that matters a lot to them. And the third thing is your branded stock imagery. And what do I mean by that? Branded stock imagery, it basically means some filler images that don't have to be of your face, but are of something related to you. So of your space, okay, that could be one. Or if you're someone like me, I do a lot of work with my laptop, pictures of my laptop, pictures of my iPad. I've done pictures of my candle, my favorite mug. I have a little fidget tool I've taken pictures of. There's a notebook I use, my favorite pen. Maybe it's a little corner. Sometimes I work in this blue chair that I have in my office. I've taken pictures of that. Things that you can use to fill the space on your website and that invoke emotion and really belong to your brand. Could be just a window. If you have a beautiful window that you sit in front of and use your laptop, and maybe it's just a window with beautiful light if you have that light and airy feel to your brand, okay? Maybe if you're in the fitness industry, maybe it's some pictures of your equipment. Maybe it's a mat, a dumbbell, whatever it can be. But these branded stock imageries are images that you choose to say something about your brand, even when you're not in them. And they should be chosen with intention, because every single image on your website should be one that makes you feel proud and that adds to the picture of who you are and who your brand is instead of muddying it, truly. And then there's one more layer I'm going to add on to all of this of what makes your website have personality online. And that's custom visual elements. And not every website needs this, but it's a nice added touch. And these could be custom icons, custom illustrations. At one point, I had an illustrator design, I think 3 different icons I had 3 different ways to work with me at that time. And she drew some beautiful custom illustrations, graphic elements. I worked with a nonprofit and she had a couple of illustrations drawn up to signify people making donations of in-kind and of stock and volunteering. She wanted it to be really unique and personal to the brand. And she had these illustrations done. These are just, thoughtful and intentional decisions, design decisions that when you put them all together, something really special happens. The website that you have in front of you, it stops being a website and it starts being an extension of you. And that is the goal when I am working with my clients. That's what we're always trying to get to, is that moment when someone lands on your website, that person just gets you immediately. They understand what your business is about. They feel that personality, the connection, and they want to keep exploring to know more. And that is the emotional connection. And imagery is a huge part of how you get there. Now, let's talk about why so many websites are missing this. And I think that the reason so many websites are falling short, even when a business owner is putting a lot of real effort into a website design, is a lot of people treat imagery as an afterthought. They build a website or decide they're going to build a website and they go work with a copywriter or they write their own copy. And then if you're doing the website yourself, you grab a template, you figure out the layout, you got your color, your brand colors and your fonts. And at the end you think, okay, now I need some photos to put in here. And you grab whatever headshots that you took like 3 years ago in an event, or you do a quick search for some stock photos, pick a few that seem okay, and then call it a day. And I absolutely understand that process, like in that thinking. Sometimes the imagery part can feel like overwhelming and daunting. And a lot of people, and a lot of my clients don't love being in front of a camera. And a brand session can feel overwhelming and expensive, and you can easily push it to the bottom of your list of things to do. But what happens when the imagery is an afterthought is the whole website tends to suffer. You can have the most beautiful layout, the most perfectly written copy, but if the images feel disconnected, they feel generic, they feel dated, people can feel it. You can't put a name on the emotion that you get when you land on a website. And it's just something that you feel. And when you don't have images that line up, people could feel it. You just know that something's off. But when the imagery is right, when it's cohesive, it feels like you, it tells your story visually, it does so much of the heavy lifting, and that builds that instant trust. It creates a connection. And what happens is that your copy lands harder because now they can actually picture the person saying those words. And if you've been building your website with imagery as kind of as an afterthought, I want to challenge you to flip your thinking. Think about starting with your images, or at least think about starting them at the same time as you do everything else. And if you're working with me, I, of course, am talking about the imagery right from that first call. Like, where are we with photos? Do you have some done? Do we need to get some done? Like, what are we going to do to get these images right on your website? Now, here's my hot take, because this is the part that I've been wanting to talk about, and kind of is what inspired this whole episode and what I put together my notes for. Right now, as I'm recording this in the summer of 2026, and I have a bunch of episodes in the last few months talking about AI. I love AI. I love incorporating it into my workflow. I even tried to build a website with one, and it wasn't very easy. But the thing is, I am seeing websites that are built entirely with AI tools, and they can look decent. Like, they can actually look kind of cute. At first glance, they look good. The layout looks decent. The sections are where they should be. The copy, assuming that someone has put some time and not just accepted what the robots wrote for them the first time, put some thought and feedback into giving direction. The copy could be coherent. It could cover the right information. But if you spend more than like 30 seconds on one, something feels off. I've been trying to figure out like what is it? Like, what's going on? It's because there is no, in my opinion, no personality. There's no sense of the human person, the human being behind this business. And more often than not, if you look at AI-generated websites, there aren't any images. Or if there are, they're like placeholders of graphics or they're generic stock photos, and they are disconnected from the actual person who runs the business. And that is the problem that I've been seeing. And I believe that this gap is going to matter more and more heading into 2027. Because the thing is, if anyone can spin up a decent looking website in like 30 seconds, what's going to make your website stand out? When the bar for acceptable gets lower and lower, what makes someone stop on your website instead of clicking away? And I believe it's you, it's your personality. It is your face, it is your energy, your story. And that's the thing that no AI tool in the world can truly generate, because it doesn't exist anywhere except in your like real life. AI can help you write words that describe your personality. It can help you generate copy, that talks about your values, your process, your approach, but it cannot show your personality. And there's a massive difference between these two things. Us humans, we are wired to respond to faces, to recognize other human beings, and to form an opinion about someone based on looking at them. And it's not something that we're like planning to do. It's just something that happens. And when you land on a website and there is a real photo of the person behind it, your brain starts building a relationship with this person. You start to get a sense of who they are. And you start to feel like, you know them even a little bit. And that's what makes you feel safe enough to reach out. And I've been talking about this all throughout the years, like before AI even got there. It is so important to have pictures of you truly with your face. People respond to other humans. And specifically that hero section when you're landing on your website, to have the person behind the brand. If not there, then at least on the homepage a little bit lower down where you are talking about who is behind the business. That is where the emotional connection gets put in. And a website without a human in it, it gives your brain nothing to latch onto. It's like information without a connection. And when you don't have that connection, sometimes we can forget about the information. I think that this is going to be one of the most important things in the next coming year or two as we see more and more AI generated websites. Businesses that are going to be cutting through the noise are the ones that can show up as themselves fully and visually. And in no way that a template or a prompt or an AI generated website can replicate. I believe that your images really are your competitive advantage right now. I truly believe that. And your true images of yourself and not AI generated images. So practically, like, how do we do this? And I don't want you to like leave you with this hot take and no action. So if you're thinking about this and say, I know I need better photos, I don't know what to do. Figure out what you actually need before you book a time with a photographer or start looking for better images online. Think about your website and what type of images are missing or what's not working. What do you need to show? What story are you trying to share visually? And it comes down to a few categories. Of course, you need images of yourself, but you also need images of your work or of your process. And then those branded stock images that I mentioned, images of your environment or your tools. And then maybe some more like mood images that set the tone of your brand. Write it down, make a shot list. And I need a headshot. If you work at your computer, I need a photo of me at my desk. If you are a massage therapist, I need a photo of me, my hands working on someone, like things like that. And then the second step is book a brand photographer. And there are different types of sessions that you can book. You can do a whole branded session, like a 2-hour session where they just work with you, or you can do a mini session. Work with someone for, 20 minutes and get 5 to 7 photos and give that a start. It all depends on, what you're ready to invest in now, both with your time and your money. But understanding what images that you need before you book that with your photographer will take you to a better place. And something to remember is that when you do have your photos done for the website, you do need some of you looking at the camera, but then also some shots looking away so that you're not looking directly at the camera. And of course, some horizontal images. Sometimes photographers forget to take horizontal images because we've been so trained over the last few years to take vertical images for social media. But on your website, there are going to be many places that you need a horizontal image. And the good thing about doing that is that you can crop it to be a vertical. If it starts as a horizontal, you can't go the other way. So when you have those pictures done, make sure that you are having horizontal images done. And if you aren't ready for a photographer, then look at stock images, but do it with a better eye. Not just, images that you like the colors of, but you want images that feel like they've been curated and they are cohesive and are a little bit more specific to you. So take your time, go through the images and build a library of images that feel like your world. And you can update those as your brand evolves. So to sum this all up, I believe that the images on your website have always mattered. This isn't new information. But I think that we're in a moment of time where it matters more than ever, and for that very specific reason of AI. AI makes it easier and easier to produce websites that look decent. But the websites that are going to stand out are the ones that feel human, that feel like a real person made them for a real business with a real story behind it. And your photos are a huge part of that. Your images are the thing that makes someone land on your website and feel, even for just a second, like they have met you. Like they understand who you are and they want to know more. And that is something that an AI tool cannot replicate. That is yours. So if you have been putting it off, I want to encourage you to move up having a photo shoot on your list. Invest in that brand shoot, even if it's a mini shoot, because the return is amazing and real. And right now, I think being human on your website is a competitive advantage. And if you want some eyes on your website to go through and talk about what is working on your website and what you might need to focus on a little bit more, that's exactly why I have my website coaching call. We can look at your website together, talk about your images, talk about your copy, your structure, and I will leave you with a list of things that you can focus on, either yourself or your VA, or if you have an assistant or your marketing team, You can hand this list off to them and they can make some updates to your website to make it work a little bit better for you. I appreciate you spending the time with me, and I will talk to you next time. And that wraps up another episode of Website Design Made Simple. I hope you found the insights shared in this episode valuable and takes you one step closer to creating a website that attracts more of your ideal clients and builds your brand. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or a rating on Spotify. Your review will help us reach more small business owners like you who are ready to make more money with their website. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.